Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jackson Show. I'm your host, Jack Zalman, and today we're going to be going over my top 25 college football teams for week number 6. We did the same thing last week, where the rankings are a different episode than the actual weekend recap. I feel like this helps me keep my thoughts brief because these rankings take a lot of time, and I know you guys enjoy the shorter videos, so please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and as always, we're going to jump straight into it. There were a couple of teams, and this week might be the first week that I'm actually going to do this all season. There is a 2-loss team in the rankings. We'll find out who that 2-loss team is eventually when we go through. But 3 teams have dropped from this week's rankings, which is the most since week number 4. We had a couple of teams drop out of the rankings, but this week there were monumental upsets, and I'm sure we all know who dropped out of the rankings, but I'm sure there's one that is a little surprising. So the first team that dropped from the rankings, I had them at 25 last week, or I had them at 23 last week, excuse me. That was Florida State. Just didn't play well, and I feel like their defense has really struggled the last 2 weeks, and it hasn't been great for Florida State, especially with that defense. I have 100% faith in the offense, but defensively, it's significantly worse. And when you expect the defense that they had from 23, I believe it was 23, it's not the same. It's nowhere near the same. That defense had an incredible pass rush. There was no pressure on Carson Beck at all on Saturday night. So stuff like that at Florida State. The other team to drop from the rankings was the 7th highest team that I had, Penn State. I feel like the issue with Penn State is just, wow. I think UCLA just took advantage of Penn State when a week where they're overlooking the Bruins' first win. They just fired their coach. They've played under the expectation, and they've played significantly worse than what the expectation was all season. UCLA just catches Penn State at a bad time, and Penn State doesn't play their best, especially Drew Aller. People are questioning what Drew Aller is, and I'm not with it. I think Dante Kortonecki, I believe he's the offensive I believe that's how you pronounce his name, the offensive coordinator at Penn State. I believe there's still something to prove there. But people are talking about you got to win out. You got to win out, and that is legitimately what it is. This is the worst loss of college football all year. This team lost to Northwestern, UNLV. They are winless. The worst team in the country, and Penn State drops a game to them. Actually, they might be the second worst team in the country because Oregon State is 0-5, believe it or not. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with Penn State. I think that this was just a trap game. You just got caught. At number 6, it's one that really, the reality of the situation is, yeah, I saw this coming, but with the way that these two teams have played, it's really just one of the biggest upsets of the weekend, and that's Texas. Texas was the 6th best team I had, and I rarely drop teams from top 10 to out of the rankings completely, or top 10 to 25, or something like that, but these 2 losses, like I said, Penn State lost to the second worst team in the country, and Florida is dead. Like, they have one foot in the grave this season, and I am 100% surprised from what I saw from Texas, or from Florida on Saturday, where they played good defense, they played good offense, and I don't know if it could be just Texas is just not good. Like, they're bad. They're not as good as they were in the past, but, I mean, they're rough right now in Austin. And I don't think it's a Sark thing. I think it's an Arch thing. Arch has just not played to the expectation, struggled in the game 1, struggled Saturday. And reality of the situation is there's no receivers on this team. You had Adonai Mitchell. You had Xavier Worthy. Those guys are gone now, and there's no real number 1. We expected Ryan Wingo to be that guy, but he's not that guy. He's not. I don't believe him. I don't believe in him. Moving on to the honorable mentions. 30. We actually have an exception this week where we have 6 honorable mentions. 31 and 30. NC State and Nebraska. NC State really good, playing good football. 4-1 going to Notre Dame this week. Nebraska beat Michigan State, so they've only beaten bad teams outside of Cincinnati. The only loss was to a top 25, arguably top 10 team in the country right now, Michigan. So, that's really good. 29, I have Navy undefeated, possibly gonna finish that way. But I don't know. I really like Navy. Big win over Air Force. So they might not lose another game for the rest of the season. Oh wait, no, they go to Notre Dame this year. I forgot about that. Yeah, might finish 11-1, but they're not even the favorite for the group of 5 to make it into the playoff. They're not the favorite. But we'll talk about my favorite later. 28, Cincinnati. Just they've played really well since the first game. The recovery, the bounce back has been really good. And they didn't even play bad in the first game. It was they made a bad call at the end of that game that cost them the opportunity to win that game. And so, Cincinnati, they struggled. I would say they struggled, but they've been playing well since then. Had a huge win this weekend. Try to keep that success up. They beat Iowa State this weekend, so that was good. Arizona's 27. Noah Fafita. I didn't know if Arizona was the real deal, but they're proving me wrong. Noah Fafita had a game. Same thing goes for a lot of the other players in Arizona. I don't know many of Arizona's football players. I know Noah Fafita. He's really good. So the offense is good. The defense held it down. Consistency is key from Arizona, and it's something that they haven't had. They definitely have more wins than they did last year. Last year they only had 4 wins, so they're much better than they were last year. But the question is, what are you doing now? That's a bad way to frame the question. What are you going to do this week, basically? I couldn't have expected Arizona to look this good without Ted McMillan. So, and at 26, I have Florida State. I've already explained my thoughts on Florida State. There's some disbelief there, yes. But I still believe that Florida State's offense is good, and that's the thing that's keeping them in the honorable mentions at the top of that list. And I'm going to be honest, it wasn't easy. I honestly bargained with myself to keep Florida State up in there, but, 2 losses, tough. Those 2 losses were tough games. At 25, I have USF. 4-1, made it back, and they scored 44 points. Defensively, they looked bad, and that might be the only reason why I kept them out of the top 25 is just that defensively they played bad at that defensively on Saturday, so that might be the only thing, right? 4-1 though, and they're in the American my second favorite team to make the playoff, so we'll see how that fares out. Notre Dame is 3-2. And Notre Dame lost to 2 top 10 teams, which is a great argument. And they've beaten everybody else they've played, but everybody else they've played has been cake sauce. Look, cake soft. The defense definitely improved this week. And now we're starting to see Notre Dame where, okay, they're struggling offensively. I can't believe they're ranked, I think, 17th in the current rankings in the AP. I can't believe they're ranked 17th in the AP. That's how high I believe they're ranked right now. But I think it's too high, and people are talking about, does Notre Dame make the playoff? Well, obviously there's some bias there because they're 16th in the AP. So, yeah, but Notre Dame, in my opinion, they're just not as good as a football team as they were last year. Defense is worse. And so there's an opportunity. And now Notre Dame has a window where they can get into the playoff, but I don't think they deserve to get there, man. I don't think they deserve it. At 23, I have Vanderbilt. I don't know why Vanderbilt. I have them as 5-0. I'm supposed to have them as 5-1. They played a good game versus Alabama. Weren't able to run the ball in the second half, which was the biggest thing that kind of won the game for Alabama. It's all about adjustments. And I still like Diego Pavia. So 22 is Virginia. Not much else to say. I really picked Virginia to lose this weekend, and they beat an undefeated Louisville team. The question is, how good is Louisville? Right? And how good is the competition Louisville has faced? But Virginia, they're a one-loss team, and they look really, really good. 21, I have Memphis. They are my favorite to make it out of the group of 5. I I like Memphis. They're not the same Memphis. They're more balanced than the old Memphis of a couple of years ago. Because the old Memphis of a couple of years ago, they were run first. Antonio Gibson, Kenneth Gainwell, they're more balanced. And they play great defense too. So 20 I have BYU, undefeated. I ranked them for the first time last week. I don't know why I ranked them for the first time last week, but they should have been ranked before. But I believe in BYU. The Big 12 is wide open right now. I think a lot of people are locking it down for Iowa State or Texas Tech. It's wide open for me right now. 19, actually, I got a couple of Big 12 teams here. 19, Arizona State. I'm not sure if there's a rivalry between Arizona State and BYU, but Arizona State played well Saturday. Or actually, they had a bye Saturday. They have a game versus my 18th team, Utah. They are also 4-1. Utah, I don't understand how Utah's unranked. They still play good football despite the loss to Texas Tech, and Texas Tech their defense looks like one of the best in the country right now. And Utah, we talked about Utah's defense, they just got exposed. And they got caught slipping, like UCLA versus Penn State. They just got exposed, caught slipping, so yeah. 17 is Missouri. They've played good football. They've been able to run the ball well. Tough game versus Alabama this week. I'm going to say it as many times as possible. DeBoer does not lose to ranked opponents. So if you're talking about Missouri as like this is a trap game, it's not a trap game. DeBoer does not lose to ranked teams. Georgia Tech is 16. I have them at 16, 5-0. They had the bye last week. Honestly, the second best team in the ACC right now. I overlooked Georgia Tech for Florida State a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like that's my fault. When the reality is, it's Miami, it's Georgia Tech, NC State, and Virginia if you want to throw another team in there. Florida State right now, defensively, they got to get those things worked out. And Clemson had a good bounce-back game versus UNC, but UNC, just like UCLA and Virginia Tech, they already have a foot in the ground, right? So, there's a lot of problems right now over Clemson, and it'd take a lot for them to get to the ACC championship game. But they did it last year with 3 losses, so they probably can do it again. Iowa State 4-1 after the Cincinnati loss. I still believe in Iowa State. They're just, I believe they have a lot of injuries. If not, I can't explain the loss to Cincinnati. I can't. 14, I have Illinois. They play Ohio State this weekend. They beat the brakes off of Purdue. Really good. The offensive line's held up since the Indiana game, which is great. And I'm going to talk more about the Indiana-Illinois game when I get to Indiana, where I have them in the rankings. But really good for Illinois. Okay. Tennessee is 13. They've lost the game to Georgia. But when they lost the game to Georgia, I feel like the loss wasn't their fault, really. It was more just kind of Georgia's offense was more high-powered. They played better ball, and so. But they've bounced back since that game, and they've played really well. If they are ranked when they play Alabama, that's loss number 2, because like I said, DeBoer does not lose to ranked teams. Say hypothetically they lose and they're unranked, they will beat Alabama. I'm just calling that because DeBoer does not lose to ranked teams. Michigan is number 12. Ground game is sufficient. Bryce Underwood, they threw the ball a lot. They threw the ball a lot versus Central. They threw the ball a lot versus Wisconsin. And when they played Nebraska in the Big Ten opener for Michigan, they didn't throw the ball as much. They didn't throw the ball as much. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to look like when they come out versus USC, because I'm not even going to talk about that New Mexico game. I cannot explain it. I feel like it was balanced, right? Oklahoma, they run first. Their priorities run first. Central, they're throwing the ball out. Nebraska getting back to the ground game. Michigan versus Wisconsin, they're throwing the ball again. So I honestly can't explain it, but they have a good balance. They have a good mix. And that ground-oriented stuff might just be because Biff Poggi was there. It might just be we're going to throw it a lot because Biff Poggi's head coach. Or we're going to run it a lot because Biff Poggi's head coach. Sherrone Moore comes back, they're back to running the ball like they want to. Number 11 is LSU. I feel like LSU might be the... How do I say this? LSU might be the best? Second best team in the SEC? I don't know about the SEC. It's like, is Georgia the best team? Are they still in it? I don't know. But LSU, I believe, was the best team in the SEC. Now it's a different best team in the SEC. But arguably, this was a good loss to Ole Miss. And arguably, Ole Miss has the best win in the country right now versus over LSU. And LSU still has a chance to make the playoff. You just got to get through Bama. And DeBoer doesn't lose to ranked opponents. So it's going to be pretty hard to beat Bama at Bama. So that's going to be pretty tough. But the defense... If the defense played like they did, games 1, 2, and 3, and if they corrected all the offensive errors that they had in the first couple of weeks of the season, there's a 100% chance that I think that LSU makes the playoff and they win the SEC. You just got to correct the offensive issues you've been having, and you've got to find your defensive groove again. I don't think it's that hard. Georgia, 4-1, had a get-right game. They're the number 10 team on my list. Had a get-right game versus Kentucky, and can that success continue? I don't see any really tough tests for the Dogs on the schedule until we get to I don't really see any tough tests on the schedule for the Dogs once you get past Ole Miss. You look at the schedule, Ole Miss, Florida is going to be a tough, because that's Florida. Every game for Florida is a trap game. Every game. Mississippi State's tough. I will say, I'll give you that. Texas. And then Georgia Tech. Those are the 4 toughest games. Those are the 4 toughest games that are on the schedule for the Dogs, and arguably that might be a clean sweep. If not a clean sweep, maybe 1 loss, but you can't drop 2 in that span. Ole Miss is at home, and you have a chance to make that environment insane for Trinidad Chambliss. So, number 9 is A&M. I'm not sure if many of you know, but my college football dynasty is with A&M, so I'm a big-time A&M supporter this season. And at Marcel Reed and what Marcel Reed is doing, and Mike Elko, just give Mike Elko a ton of credit. No one expected them, or at least I didn't expect them to be in the hunt last year for the SEC. I didn't. I couldn't have seen it coming. I mean, there's no way. I just give Mike Elko a ton of credit for everything that he's done. I couldn't have predicted what he did last year. And this year, he's undefeated. He beat Notre Dame on the road. Granted, the schedule gets tougher from here. Texas, which, they're going to turn into every game for them is going to be a trap game, right? From this point on. LSU, that's another one. Missouri. So there are a couple of tough games, but, moving forward, you beat Mississippi State, so I think the toughest games that you have are behind you until you get to LSU. But they play Florida this week, and every game for Florida is a trap game. So, but, oh my God, for the sake of everything I know, please do not lose to Florida this weekend, A&M. I'm begging you, please do not lose. I can't. I wouldn't be able to take it well. I wouldn't take it well. Okay. I got that out of the way. Texas Tech is number 8. I feel like a lot of people have Texas Tech higher, but you look at the 7 teams in front of them, there's no way I'm putting Texas Tech inside the top 5. No way. But they play good offense, and Brendan Shoresby came back and he played well. So Tech, I'm in on Tech. The favorite to win the conference. If you asked me to pick one team to win the conference right now, I'd pick BYU. Just because of they look really good and they look tough to stop. And plus, the favorite to win the conference never does. Never does. Kansas State was favored to win this conference. They didn't win it. No, I'm pretty sure Arizona State was favored to win the conference, and now they're no longer the favorite. Right behind them was Kansas State. From what I saw, Kansas State and Arizona State were the 2 favorites. But number 7 is Oklahoma. I saw the news. There's a chance John Mateer might come back and play Saturday. If not, it'll go to Michael Hawkins, which, I mean, I really want Mateer to play. And there's a chance Mateer will play. But if he doesn't, I might have to go with Texas. Their defense has to play really good. I mean, Oklahoma, I know about Oklahoma. I know their defense is really good, but can their offense function without John Mateer? They played well last week, but last week they played Kent State. And Texas is nowhere near the level of competition you're going to get against any team you face from the Mid-Atlantic Conference. So, I'm pretty sure that's what the MAC is. Number 6, we're getting inside the top 6 now, and this is where things get serious. Alabama, you can give them the best win in the country, but they also arguably have the worst loss in the country. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't count the Florida State game as a loss. Arguably has the best win in the country right now, but I'm not going to give them the best win in the country yet. I'd have to see more, and the schedule from here gets tougher when you play LSU and Missouri, and I think they have Oklahoma on their schedule. Yep, they do. Oklahoma as well. So there's, the schedule gets tougher from where you're at right now. And so you beat those teams. You beat Oklahoma. Yeah, I'm definitely going to give you best win in the country, dog, because Oklahoma right now, they're my favorite to go win the Natty. LSU, that's going to be tight. But I like Oklahoma to win the Natty with a healthy John Mateer. If not, going to have to go with one of these teams inside the top 5. Number 5 is Indiana, undefeated. They have the best win of the country over Illinois, and it's not even close. They embarrassed Illinois, and yet that offensive line has played better. They played better against USC. They played better against Purdue. They've put up points, and their defense has gotten stops. Indiana looks like a formidable opponent. They look like the best team in the country right now. And they face Oregon this week. That's game of the week right there. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say till Friday. Game of the week right there. On a silver platter, please. Number 4, Ole Miss. We talked about this last week. Trinidad Chambliss is my favorite to win the Heisman. He's my favorite to win the Heisman. If John Mateer's not going to win it, Trinidad Chambliss is going to win it. Might take Chambliss over John Mateer. Number 3, Miami, undefeated. Everything you wanted to know about Miami, they just proved it to you this weekend. Carson Beck can't throw the ball? Okay, see what they can do. See what happens when they throw the ball. They haven't played a good offense yet. That defense is untested. Boom. I mean, Miami looked really good. I talked about it yesterday. I'm talking about it today. They played really well. Number 2 is Oregon. Beat Penn State at the whiteout. I don't think that one is a fluke. Like I said before, UCLA caught Penn State lacking. So I don't think the Oregon game, Oregon-Penn State, was a fluke for Oregon. 100% it's not. But Penn State is going to play better for sure. They have to play better to make the playoff. And Oregon, they play Indiana. Excuse my voice crack. They play Indiana. So prove to me this weekend what you can do versus Indiana's defense. And yeah. By the way, if Indiana beats Oregon, they have a small chance they're the number 1 team in the country next week. And then you have Ohio State at number 1. There's no real explanation for this. It might be Oregon next week. Like, if Oregon beats Indiana, Oregon has the best one in the country, and they're the number 1 team in the country. Like, I can't keep putting Ohio State at number 1 week after week, especially with Texas having 2 losses and one of them coming to Florida. So, yeah. Top 25, just to recap it. South Florida's 25, Notre Dame's 24, Vanderbilt's 23, Virginia's 22, Memphis is 21, BYU's 20, Arizona State is 19, Utah is 18, Missouri is 17, Georgia Tech is 16, Iowa State is 15, Illinois is 14, Tennessee's 13, Michigan's 12, LSU's 11, 10 is Georgia, 9 is Texas A&M, 8 is Texas Tech, 7 is Oklahoma, 6 is Alabama, 5 is Indiana, 4 is Ole Miss, 3 is Miami, 2 is Oregon, and of course, number 1 is Ohio State. So, those are my college football top 25 rankings for week number 6. Thank you so much for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, bring your friend.